Well, hey everyone. I am excited that it's April. It's so funny. March always to me is like this, like I have all this hope for really great spring weather, and then it's just often cold, and that's what happened this month. Although we had some good days there too. It's nice to see the sun and not so much snow. But April for us in New England is a lot of rain. So we'll see how this month comes out. I get very excited when April comes, but it's really, I have to remember May is really when the sunshine comes. But anyway, I am very excited about these recipes. I hope that you enjoyed last month's. I'm going to share with you. My phone is going off. Couple things. One thing I just want you to really be thinking about this month, especially as we jump into a new season. I think spring just prompts me to clean things out and start new. It's like that rocket fuel of motivation. But I always say that motivation is not a strategy. And so I want us to remember that just because you might not be motivated to cook dinners or to plan out your week when it comes to your time and your nutrition, your grocery shopping, all of that. When you rely on motivation, it's so easy for it to wax and wane, right? And if you've ever, set your alarm to wake up at 5 a.m. to work out, and then you don't work out because you're no longer motivated, you realize, yeah, motivation doesn't always last. But we think it's like the thing that's necessary to do the things. And I encourage you this month to realize, no, the reason I am cooking these meals for my family, the reason I am planning out Sunday night, going grocery shopping, making sure I have the stuff in there is because it's what our bodies need. And remember, our bodies don't need us to be perfect. They need us to be consistent. Our families need us to be consistent. So use that as a rocket fuel of motivation to get yourself ready for the month, but don't rely on that motivation. Know that the motivation is going to go. You're going to wake up on many days and not feel motivated to do the things, but you still have to do it. And so I'm hoping that these meals make you excited so that there is that little bit of motivation, but also that this message allows you to think about that and that you're really just committing to focusing on your purpose, especially as we move into a new season. I love that spring prompts me to be motivated, but I want you to be really thinking through your purpose, because I guarantee your purpose is not about what you weigh. It isn't. And so we can move in a purpose that we were put on this earth for that doesn't include Googling new diets, because we don't have to anymore. So last nutritional advice you ever need is right here. So now you've got the time. So use the spring to focus on you, your purpose, your value, your potential. Okay. So let's take a look at what our meals are going to be this month. We've added more now. So we have 12 every week. I want you to realize that you don't have to be cooking every single night a fancy meal. I like to cook extra so we have leftovers. We plan our night about when we're going to either do takeout or go out, or that we're just going to do something super, super simple. Like I'll throw in chicken and we'll have veggies, and maybe that's all it is. So, but cooking 3 times a week, something like this is powerful. And then you can go back and look at your old recipes that you love and want to keep using. And so you can rotate them, because I know the first time I cook a recipe, it takes me longer. But when I cook the same recipe a few times, it's super fast. So I encourage you to go back, look in the table of contents and look and see what it is. My phone is just a mess today. I'm going to turn it off. And look at the different recipes that you've already made and make sure you put those into your rotation. All right. So seafood lasagna, you guys, I worked on this so much. I even went to a seafood shop to figure out which seafood would be best and easiest to put together. And my kids loved it. You're also going to learn what Peter and I do on our date night every Wednesday night when we go on our date night, and the meal that we have, I recreated. My sister-in-law worked on a clean Italian wedding soup. Coach Stacy put in her chili here. Gosh, the creamy chicken is amazing. Also, chimichurri is one of my favorite. And back in 2019, we introduced a chimichurri sauce. And so I brought it back here in a noodle bowl, which I thought would be perfect. I often do chimichurri on chicken or steak, but it was perfect in a noodle bowl. I have some vegetarian stuff in here. And I love the slow cooker chicken cacciatore because it is fast and it is great if you're going to have people over. All of these are great. The crab salad, open sandwiches, it's just this is like a transition, a little bit like where there's some cooler days in April for us, but really more spring days. So some lighter things, and that crab salad, open sandwich is one of them. So I always tell you what is my favorite one. And I think I was trying to think about this before I came on. I think I'm going with my date night Mediterranean bowl because I have it every week and I'm so proud of how I recreated it. So it might to me it's so funny because maybe it's not quite a recipe because we're putting just things together, this bowl together, but it's great. Although, yeah, I guess I'm going to go with my date night because it's also super special. But I will tell you that there isn't anything in here I haven't loved. The kitchen chicken cacciatore was so fast and the kids just scrambled it up. I always love a creamy chicken. Anyway, there's so much good here. So let's go through a few so I can share with you. Here's your grocery list. This is a team effort putting these recipes together between coaches and my staff. And I just, if you have feedback, you please always give it to us. Now, we do have one of our coaches who is a real knowledgeable about wine. And so you know how much we love our clean crafted wine. If you drink wine, this is the only wine you should be drinking because there are no added sugars in these wines, yet they're grown from old vines. So the flavor is robust. We are talking about natural wine and it tastes like it's like the difference between eating a McDonald's cheeseburger and like a juicy cheeseburger that you make yourself on the grill. It is that much better. And yet we're not talking about a price point that's any more than you're probably spending on wine, but with no added sulfites, no added chemicals, no added pesticides, no added sugar, none of that stuff, which is absolutely in the wine you are drinking right now. It is worth it. So I love that we have the links to the most recent wine pairings. Now, keep in mind, these are all coming from very small vineyards with farmers who are making a living doing wine right. And I love supporting the small farmer who's doing it right. But also they sell out very quickly because they're small batches. So just keep that in mind. And I always say, if you find a wine you like, get a bunch of them. And they have free shipping for 6 bottles or more, plus you get 5% off. Or if you get 12 bottles, you get 10% off and free shipping. So to me, it's a no-brainer. It's 100% money back guarantee. If you don't love it, you can't go to the grocery store or the wine store or Costco and go get your wine and then drink it all and tell me you didn't like it and then get your money back. They're never gonna, but they're gonna be like, sorry, don't buy it again, right? So anyway, that is my pitch on that. If you are a wine drinker, there's nothing else you should be having. All right, you guys, this doesn't look that fancy, but I promise you, this is our date night bowl or date night Mediterranean bowl. I can't wait to share that with you. Okay, so seafood lasagna. So lasagna with cheese. Now, I just don't love fish and cheese together, but so I was like, how am I going to make this where it's not so creamy? All the research I did, it was just a lot of lasagna that was creamy sauce. And I didn't want that because I also knew how just, that could be with heavy cream. So I took it a different way and I decided to make a red sauce. I used arrowroot starch. That should always be in your pantry. No more cornstarch or any type of thickener like that. It is so much better and it works just as well. We took sole filet, salmon filet, and shrimp. I wanted to find fish that you're going to be able to find easily. You could also substitute like white fish for that sole. So like a cod is fine as well. But I did do some Parmesan cheese. So no mozzarella cheese or anything heavy, but some Parmesan cheese. And if you want to substitute it with nutritional yeast instead, nutritional yeast is totally clean and you can do that as a substitute. Now, also, believe it or not, I found lasagna noodles that are clean. They were lentil noodles. They were no bake lentil noodles. I found them at Hannaford's, which is a local grocery store for us, and they were amazing. I have a link here for you too. So, and they're no boil lasagna noodles. So you guys, there's nothing worse than like boiling noodles and trying to make it all work. They're no boil noodles. They're lentil. They're gluten free. They do not taste any different, and they're incredible. So we're just using mushrooms and tomatoes. I will say one of my daughters likes mushrooms, the other one doesn't. So I have also made this with zucchini instead of mushrooms, and that was amazing. And so, you know, and in my recipes, if I have spray oil, make sure you're looking for stuff with only the oil, no added garbage with it, organic and no added anything, but you can get the use of oil where it's like non-stick and things like that without the added fat. So that's a great way because it's such a minimal amount with the spray. So this was just perfectly balanced, and recognize that this makes about 8 servings. So what I do when I do lasagna, because there's only 4 of us, when I have 8 servings, I divide it out onto, I grab 4 bowls, like Tupperware bowls, and my 4 plates, and I just divide it out evenly. And then right away, I threw those bowls into the refrigerator. All right, this is our date night Mediterranean bowl. Yeah, it's just a bunch of ingredients put together, but I can't even tell you. So crunchy chickpeas. I have played around with roasting my own chickpeas. You can totally do it. Put them in a pan, a little bit of olive oil or spray oil, and just roast them at the top, at the top rack very quickly, because they'll burn very quickly at a high temperature. You could broil it on low. But I found that that was a lot of work, or more work than I wanted to do. So I got a bag of crunchy chickpeas, and it was so easy and really great. So you're just adding, no, there's dairy in here. So when I go on the date night with Peter, if I'm doing the 4 weeks to wellness, we go to Eli's. This is what we order every single week when our kids are at youth group. Uh, I get it without the feta and without the sour cream, and it's still really good. Here's the key to this. Mixing on, you get a little bit of different, you eat different things together. Like sometimes I'll have the chicken and the rice and the olive, or the red onion and the cucumber and the chicken, and I throw a little feta in it and a little bit of sour cream, and I'm just always kind of dipping it, and each bite tastes a little bit different but all related. But here's the key. That lemon, you're going to cut a lemon in half and then grill it for a few minutes. Do you see the char on that I'm sorry, on that lemon? It makes that lemon so juicy, and you squeeze that lemon over the whole bowl. You guys, I was so proud of myself for baking this, because it cost us a whole lot less money, but it tasted exactly like it. So I hope that you love it as well. Coach Stacy has an amazing steamy chili recipe. And, I knew that like chili often comes out in the winter months, but Stacy shared this with me, and I'm like, I have to share this now. And with the cherry tomatoes in it, the fresh tomatoes, and it made it like a fresher, lighter chili. And so truly, like, go for this, because it was really great. You can eliminate the corn if you're not doing corn. But when you do corn, make sure it's non-GMO, and non-GMO and organic. Okay. But really super fast. You're going to just throw all of this together, especially on a cool night in April. Okay. Really great for leftovers. And then as we move on, that Italian wedding soup. Oh, so good. I did throw breadcrumbs in here. I have been able to find some clean gluten-free breadcrumbs. If you're putting gluten in, then you can use regular breadcrumbs. Keep them as clean as possible. There's some garbage out there in breadcrumbs, so just look at that. I used the brown rice ramen. You can use any other, I suggest a gluten-free pasta, because there's just no reason to do gluten pasta if you don't have to. But also traditional wedding soup has those little tiny pastas. I couldn't find those gluten-free. So that's why I ended up using the brown rice ramen. And so if you get those brown rice ramen, you can get them at Amazon. I get them at Costco. 3 bricks is perfect for 6 servings. So I love that. It just makes it super simple. But Stacy, my sister-in-law, and I worked on this together, and it was great. And we added nutritional yeast to it. It gives it a little bit of that cheesy, nutty taste without doing cheese. So, okay. So simple. And with this, you're going to make your meatballs tiny. And what we did is we combined turkey, and you can either use ground beef or bison. Bison is leaner and just such an amazing flavor. In fact, if those of you remember Frank's random meatloaf that we use bison. Okay, here's my slow cooker creamy chicken. It is creamy, but I used coconut milk in here, so it's not super heavy creamy, and it is clean. So it's 4W2W compliant. So I'm excited about that for you guys. This is just another really great 10-minute to prep, super fast. You could freeze it after, and it is your kids are going to love this. I would you can add some more carbs to it if you want to, because it has just about 6 grams of carbs. So if you added 2 more cans of white beans to the chili, that would add about 12 more grams of carbs. I know that it says 8 to 10 servings. I know that that annoys people sometimes, but just be mindful about what you're eating. And if you're always following our nutritional approach where you're ready to eat satisfied, you're not so deprived, your body will know when enough is enough. Maybe about a cup and a half for a woman. Okay. All right. So these spicy tuna cakes, I actually was going to go after some crab cakes, but I find crab, I was doing crab in another recipe, so I didn't want to do it twice. And we need a lot of crab cakes to get the right amount of protein. So I decided I was going to try tuna cakes. So this was kind of funny and fun. Wild Planet is a great tuna. Do not just grab any tuna on the shelf. Make sure you're looking for that. But really, really simple. Again, we're using the same breadcrumbs that you can be using. Although I suggested panko here, but really, if you use breadcrumbs for your for the Italian wedding soup, go ahead and use the same breadcrumbs here for that. But I loved putting this on a big salad. I did lots of lemon juice, so you have your lemon from your date night Mediterranean bowl, and you can just make that as your dressing. And it's really, really great because this already has 19 grams of carbs, 24 grams of protein, and 10 grams of fat. So you're right where you need to be. So if you add this onto a big bed of lettuce and even some cut veggies and use your lemon juice as your dressing, you're not adding really any protein, fat, or carbs to that, just more nutrients. Okay. The chimichurri noodle bowl has shrimp in it, but you could substitute anything that you really want with that. I I added a little bit of feta cheese on mine because I was really loving the feta cheese. Tiny little bit, probably went over, but it's okay. And it looks it was really great. Now, I combined my brown rice pasta with zucchini, the spiralized zucchini. And so by doing that, it just makes it really filling and great. But again, you can substitute any protein that you want if you don't want to do the shrimp. The pesto pasta. So I used a Banza penne pasta, which it's just so amazing. It tastes just like regular pasta. And then cooked chicken breast. So I cooked the chicken breast in early. So I'll often do that right in my Instapot. I can do my chicken frozen in the Instapot for 20 minutes and it will shred so nicely. So I save that in the fridge, and I'll often do that on Sundays. And then I'll put it on top of salads during the week, but then you can add it to this meal here and it's great. Okay. Let's see what else. A little tip too, if you ever use bone broth instead of like chicken broth that has high protein in it, and it means you could be less in your protein for your chicken or anything like that. All right, vegetarian skillet. This is kind of like gosh, there's eggs in here and eggs for dinner. I love eggs for dinner. Now, I worked hard. It's hard to get full vegetarian meals that are totally PFC balanced, but this one is a pretty good balance. I know that it's higher in fat, but it's all clean. So we're talking about really, really good fats. So we're not talking about fats that your body doesn't soak up and love. So you're okay, right? So I don't want you to be stressed around that because I put a whole can of coconut milk in here and I've done it without the whole can and it just doesn't taste as creamy and yummy. So I tell you to go for it. And the fat is coming into the yolks and the coconut milk, right? But you're talking about really good fats here. So this really came about because we have so many eggs now that our chickens are laying eggs, and just slid these eggs into this tomato broth that I had made, and it was really incredible. So I'm excited for you to go ahead and try that one. And then, so this is where the crab came in. I love crab. Swiss cheese is a little bit lower in fat, and just had such an amazing combination of tastes with the crab. This is with the Swiss cheese, you're not going to be compliant with the 4W, 2W, but also you have the English muffins. So if you want to make this compliant, do the salad, the crab meat, and in the salad, and then add some avocado and put it on salad, add it with some brown rice or something on the side to add your carbs. But this crab salad recipe itself is actually clean. Okay. Um, Chicken cacciatore. This was incredible. I posted about this when I was first trying it. Again, so fast. I like it. The longest thing that it took me was to chop the peppers. That was it. That was what took me the longest. The house smelled amazing. It was just such a great recipe. It serves 8. So again, you have extra left over if you're only a family of 4. I will tell you, one of the things that I do to make recipes go by faster is I just make sure I pull out all the ingredients and I read the directions and then I start cooking. That saves me a ton of time. So I hope that that's helpful for you. And I love the steak stir fry. I am just such a kind of Asian food lover. So this allows me to kind of get some of that in there. The sugar snap peas sliced in half are so yummy. We're talking about no soy sauce or coconut aminos. There's your arrowroot starch again. You can find the Chinese 5-spice right where spices are in your grocery store. Grab a lot of those peppers and onions. I've substituted, like for this, was red peppers instead of yellow peppers. It's not a big deal anyway, right? But the fresh herbs I just love doing that, especially during this kind of weather. So, I wasn't sure if we're going to be able to start grilling quite yet in April. So I figured this was a good way to do steak. And so then we have some bonus dishes. These raspberry pistachio bites I now make all the time. They were super easy. They're like bark kind of, but with Greek yogurt, you're actually talking about a great PFC side dish because it's complete protein. It's about a 2x2 little bite is 2 grams of proteins, about 3 grams of carbs, and 1.3 grams of fat. I mean, it's super specific. I mean, you can make that as a little side on the side. And if you eat 10 of them, I couldn't eat 10. It was been too much for me, but you have a PFC meal. So, you're talking about raspberry jam that's got some sugar in it. And this isn't challenge compliant because the Greek yogurt is the key here. You have agave in here. So it's higher in sugar, but it is a really great sweet treat that's healthy for you. And then Coach Jackie made these amazing smashed sweet potatoes. Look at the picture of that. So really just taking these, trying to get skinny sweet potatoes is gonna make it kind of the best there. But just after they're broiled, you're gonna smash them with a fork. And just a fun new way to have sweet potatoes on the side. You're talking about a fat and a carb, so you just have some protein on the side. To me, this is like throw some chicken in, and this is a meal, a dinner. That's really easy. And so as we talked about kind of recognizing your value and a lot of things I've been thinking about, especially as we move into the spring, is just being confident in who we are. And it doesn't mean you are or you aren't confident. It's something you build to. It's actually a habit. It's not innate in any of us. We actually have to practice it. And we don't have to have met our goals before we're fully confident. So I just want you to remember that. Put this up on your fridge and just remember that confidence is a habit. It is not a trait. Okay. So practice being confident. Confidence does not have to be a feeling, but it is the concept of knowing that what you're doing is right for you or for your body or for your family. And there's a confidence in that, even if you haven't met your goals. All right, y'all. Thanks for the time. Let me know. Post on Diet Disruptor Squad any of the recipes that you're making and that you're loving. And I just love to hear more about what you guys are doing. All right. Thanks.